pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, this is public hearing.
Michael Baker.
Tom, which
My name is Michael Freeman, Jeremy Paycutt, a Woodstock, New York investigative news reporter. It is a fact of wartime U.S. propaganda misinformation activity in Woodstock, New York, that the Oliver North CIA covert drug-running gang affiliates of Bauman, Ricochet, P.J. Garrison have committed U.S. felony crimes against the New York elections process and have wrongfully and maliciously, falsely, have gone on a crazed Joe McCarthy-type witch hunt of publicly smearing good Democrats of Woodstock, New York, including vile attacks on FBI, Justice Department informers. The town board of Woodstock is now duly notified of this election's racketeering connected to New York organized crime. This has been former election inspector Michael Paycutt speaking tonight on July 15, 2014 at 7 p.m. Thank you for all your good work, and this is follow-up information. I'm going to share this with Wilbur and Mrs. Magarelli.
Thank you, Mark.
Janice Churchill.
Mr. Kimball. Hello,
Hello, everybody. Second Amendment of Woodstock Town Resolution to set aside 5 to 8 acres of land for the homeless to own. On July 2nd, 2014, Father John and myself met with Senator Kachik in a 45-minute session to implement New York State Homeless Land Right Bill. In conclusion, Senator Kachik said, if the model is created at the local level in Woodstock, then the state of New York will evaluate the possibility of state legislation to preserve lives of homeless people. 2, economic value, state and nation. Homeless land reservations in each county of the nation may evolve into new hamlets, villages, towns, and small cities in 30 to 50 years as we continue with the 21st century. The 50 major cities of the United States cannot support a population of well above 300 million people. The decompression of city population out onto the land by the creation of new hamlets, villages, towns, and small cities between the existing major cities is essential as economic counterbalance to avoid more economic collapse. American Homeless Land Model, my book, predicted economic collapse by the year 1995 and was published on internet by 1999, 13 years before the economic collapse in the United States. Somewhere about 75,000 people fled upstate New York to avoid starvation or homelessness. Many families had no lawful destination waiting for them or their children. In summation, if the homeless land model is not created in Woodstock, then it may never be evaluated by the state of New York. And we have the promise of the senator to evaluate the land model if we create it here. Essentially, and I'm leaving right now, but essentially, American Homeless Land Model is ultimately a plan to have one land reservation in each county of the United States so that homeless families may migrate across the American grid seeking economic opportunity. It's much larger than the needs of Woodstock for ourselves. Thank you very much. Oh, there's a postcard out to the public that you may see coming in. If you would throw it in the cardboard box, please, and save it for future reference, should you consider the opinion of the public. Thank you.
How you're supporting him.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank
Randy.
you, Lisa.
Hi. Last month, Felicia and I resigned the ad hoc committee of the public access TV station because after several years of volunteering 2 nights a week doing live programming, designing a potential new studio that would bring the studio up to specifications, 2 members of the ad hoc committee, one in particular, when I complained that the current studio is not really operable by anyone with a visual disability, said to me that, oh Randy, all you ever do is complain and now you always play the visual disability card. That comment not only shows the boorishness of the person making it, but in any professional environment would mandate a trip to human resources for sensitivity training. Felicia and I resigned immediately on that occasion. And just a couple of days ago, another member of the ad hoc committee who had been programming the automation for the station resigned. This person resigned. I'm not going to speak for this person, but out of the same frustrations that I'm expressing here tonight. Now the TV station is destined to move to a temporary trailer under the expertise of the 2 people who are currently operating as engineers. Now a memo has been sent that there is to be no new programming submitted for the automation system because the person who resigned was running the automation system, and apparently these 2 brilliant engineers can't figure out how to maintain the automation system or how to reprogram it. So now it's just reprogramming the last programming that the person who resigned had done. And now these people don't know how to operate their own system. That brings the TV station into violation of Public Service Commission Rule 895.4, where an operative automation system needs to be operative in order for the studio to be considered legitimate. My position and my considered opinion is that the TV station will not survive the move to the trailer because of the incompetence, boorishness, and downright alienating attitude of 2 of the members of the ad hoc committee. I don't have anything else to say other than that, other than just that I can't deal with it anymore. I will not be subjected to the sort of rude treatment that people on that ad hoc committee have for people who volunteered their time for that station for several years. And whenever you try to propose anything that's new to bring the station up to a standard operating level, one of the engineers there, who apparently has been traumatized in the past by general dysfunctionality of the studio design and implementation, says he's not going to do it. He'll quit if anybody tries to change what is his baby now. Now he's talking about cutting up the studio and just transporting it lock, stock, and barrel into the trailer, which is already going to be a cramped situation. Personally, I don't think it will work. I don't know what to request of the town board to do about this situation, because I don't know if there's anybody who's going to be willing to work in the negative environment that these 2 individuals still on the ad hoc committee create for everybody else. Thank you.
That's it.
Okay, I have a couple of announcements. Lifetime resident of Woodstock, Dorothea Cook, postmaster of the Willow Post Office for 37 years, to celebrate her 100th birthday on July 23, 2014. Dorothea, daughter of Abram and Edna Wilbur, married Grendel Quick on April 29, 1934. So that's what, exactly 80 years ago? Almost. They went on to celebrate 54 years of marriage until Mr. Quick passed away in 1988. They had 3 children, Edna Kraft, now of Stone Ridge, Linda Hamilton, and Kenneth Quick. Dorothea served as postmaster of the Willow Post Office from 1944 to 1981. The Woodstock Town Board sends to Dorothea its best wishes for a happy birthday. Dorothea would come to our August meeting and share with us the secret to your longevity. We would really appreciate it.
I can tell you one thing. She was one of the first people I met when I moved up to Willow. She was a kindest, most gentle soul, so maybe that's it.
That's it. Maybe that's the secret.
That means the rest of us won't make it.
So I just want to make one other announcement, which is I do get weekly reports from the police department. We are averaging 2 automobile deer collisions a week. And very often, in fact, in almost all the cases that I've seen, it's not because people are violating the speed limit. People are going the speed limit. It's just that the deer just suddenly jump out on the road and suddenly there they are. So I advise everybody driving through the roads of the town of Woodstock to be very careful. Don't depend on the speed limit to spare you from what can be a very traumatic experience. It just recently, some of you may have noticed me drive up here in what looks like a new car. It was a rental car. My wife's car got smashed by a deer the other day. Not in Woodstock, in the town of Hurley, so it doesn't end up in our statistics, but nevertheless, just bang. She was driving 30, 40 miles an hour down 375 and suddenly had a deer crashing through her windshield. She was not injured, fortunately. But anyway, it's just something that even if you are spared personal injury, your car is certain to be damaged. It's just a very traumatizing experience. So I really advise everyone to be very, very careful on the roads. There's an awful lot of deer around here. And again, we are averaging 2 collisions of this nature a week. So, Jay, you had an announcement?
Yeah, a couple. Yeah.
You know, before you, if I could just address the press, that bold type there, that's something I really think the public would benefit the public. Yes.
A couple of months ago, we had a request from the police department for them to get new pistols. And one part of the request was based on the fact that they said that the sights were not as good as they needed to be and not as good as they used to be. And having fired a number of guns in my lifetime, I went down there to see what they were talking about. And, you know, at the muzzle end of the pistol, there's one sight sticking up, and closer to the person who's using it, there are 2 sort of fingers sticking up so you can line up the far one with the middle, the frontmost. And they had sort of a metal that illuminated, and that these metals had been, and that they were inserted into the sight markers, and that they were no longer illuminating. And so I was very curious. I went to see what they were, and yes, you know, it seemed like it was no big deal. Anyway, the new pistols had arrived, and the forces equipped with them, and I went down to take a look at the new ones, and boy, what an important difference. There is illumination even in the daytime. And so the purpose, obviously, is safety. If people are going to be going around the police department with pistols, and if they're going to be drawing them and potentially using them, we all want these weapons to be aimed accurately. And with these new sights, day or night, they can be aimed accurately, and the small amount that it cost us to do this was well worth it. That's number one.
Okay.
Number 2, yesterday at the CSAC meeting, Beth Walker from the Woodstock Garden Club was invited to be there to address the CSAC group and inform everybody what they were doing. Her garden club was formed originally in 1948. And without going through everything that Beth had to say, The main thing that they do up here on the Conroe property is a garden along the stone wall on the other side of the green, on the other side of the Conroe Drive. There are a number of other things that they do. The triangle at the junction of 375 and 212, other places too. They do need more volunteers. And if people, men or women, are interested in volunteering to be members of the garden club, I have two addresses for you. The phone number would be 845-338-0207, and the email would be eawalker@gmail.com. And I personally have never had any idea who takes care of those things, those plants all along there. And, it's practically a secret society in Woodstock doing wonderful things. Ken was at the meeting. I don't know if you had anything to add to it.
Well, the proposal that came up is that there's another garden club in town, essentially the Woodstock Transitions, which has a garden group. I think they're more focused on vegetables as opposed to flowers. But there's a great opportunity for some synergy there between the two groups. And so one of the suggestions was maybe we ought to facilitate getting those groups together to improve the cooperation and overlap of what the two groups do. The advantage of Transition Woodstock, it seems to be of a younger crowd than the Woodstock Garden Club, so it may be a good fit.
It's such a good thing, let's make sure we stay out of it.
One more thing. Let me just, if I could just add to that. Recently, my wife mentioned, the four ladies down at the Village Green who have been taking care of most of the gardens, and there's one or two other folks who come in periodically, but I know that they could also use a little bit more help. If anybody wanted to adopt a bed or come down and spend some time. And probably the best way would be to contact the supervisor at this point, and we can facilitate that.
Okay.
One more.
Mm-hmm.
Do you dig it? Is the term for the fund to raise the approximately $6,300 needed to get the 6 buried fuel oil tanks in the Bearsville area directly over the aquifer cleaned up with new tanks to replace the old underground tanks and new piping and blah, blah, blah. And so, because the state has put all towns in a position of not being able to legislate about 275-gallon tanks underground as well as other sizes. And because the town is not able legally to go in and do anything at all about this, it's private property, and if the town is to assert it's tried to, we would be looking to improve private property, which is a big no-no. And so therefore, I, as a private citizen, have convinced the owners of these 6 buried fuel tanks to get them out, get them cleaned up, and have legal certification for abandonment given to the owners of the property, without which they can't sell their homes. You can't sell a home if there's a buried fuel tank. And so, in any event, Jay Wade, the private citizen, is looking to accept donations in any amount. I just recently got a small check from across the river over near President Roosevelt's home. But checks in all denominations, please make them out, not to me, but to Do You Dig It? And they may be left here. They could be mailed to me at 307 Mead Mountain Road. Or if I'm called, I'll come get them. 6970 is my number. So, we need the bucks. Thank you.
Jay, a real tip of the hat to your dogged effort on this. You've spent countless hours on this, and I really think that you deserve a lot of gratitude. And when the day comes that that sixth tank is properly abandoned, I will be among those to express it most sincerely and deeply.
Well, I have to say thank you. However, if it was not for Jerry Washington, who brought this to my attention years ago, who had made on his own a survey of the buried fuel tanks there, who had done on his own a survey that was mailed out to all of the people there, asking about the location of the fuel tanks, fuel they used, blah, 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 blah. If it hadn't been for Jerry Washington, I don't believe I would have gotten this far.
And thanks to him too. What was that noise?
Aliens
Spirits
were
of town board.
Yes. Oh my God. Only
Public
aliens.
feedback.
Okay, so why don't we get to our business? Yeah.
Do you want to jump, because we've got the architects?
Yes, why don't we jump right to the resolution? So let me offer the resolution, and then we will have a discussion. Okay, be it resolved by the town board of the town of Woodstock, Ulster County, New York, the town, by a favorable vote of not less than 2/3 of all the members of the town board as follows. Section 1. Specific purpose hereinafter referred to as purpose to be financed pursuant to this resolution is the renovation / expansion of the Nestor Hornbeck Community Center, an existing Class C structure of 2,626 plus minus square feet, located at 56 Rock City Road, Woodstock, New York, including but not limited to the following: improving the existing envelope for more energy efficiency, removing 360 square feet of interior space from the rear of the building and replacing it with an addition for a total of plus minus 4,400 square feet of interior space in the completed project, replacing the entire plumbing and electrical system, including the installation of water-conserving devices and energy-efficient lighting and appliances, installing air heat exchange systems to heat, cool, and ventilate the facility, adding features to improve its use by the performing arts, improving compliance with the Federal Americans with Disabilities Act, including upgrading handicap restroom facilities and the maintenance of handicap parking spots, installing a fire suppression system, installing an emergency generator to make the facility more adaptable for use as a temporary emergency comfort center, upgrading the public access television studio, installing any original furnishings, equipment, machinery, and apparatus, and undertaking any site work required for such purpose. The maximum cost of said purpose will not exceed $1,550,000. Section 2. The town board plans to finance the maximum estimated cost of said purpose as follows. A. The issuance of serial bonds in the amount not to exceed $997,000 of said town, hereby authorized to be issued therefore pursuant to the local finance law. B. The appropriation of an amount not to exceed $293,000 from the town building capital reserve fund. The withdrawal and appropriation of such monies from the town building capital reserve fund hereby authorized by this resolution. And C. The application of a variety of monies and grants available to the town, including but not limited to the following. 1. The December 30, 2013 appropriation of $100,000 from the general fund 2013 year-end appropriated unexpended balance. 2. An appropriation from the unreserved unexpended balance for the 2015 budget in the amount not to exceed $153,196. And 3. The appropriation of $6,804 from the Nestor Hornbeck Community Center Trust and Agency. The renovation / expansion capital project is a purpose for which such town building capital reserve fund is established. In addition, the town board plans to receive additional monies to finance the maximum estimated cost of the purpose in the form of grants from the New York State Energy Research Development Authority. Any grant monies, gifts, or unanticipated revenues dedicated to the purpose and received by the town will be used to reduce the principal amount of any serial bonds, but not bond anticipation notes, to be issued by the town.
Section 3. It is hereby determined that said purpose is an object or purpose described in subdivision 12 of paragraph A3 of section 11.00 of the local finance law, and that the period of probable usefulness of said purpose is 10 years. Section 4. Current funds are not required to be provided prior to the issuance of the bonds authorized by this resolution or any notes issued in anticipation of the sale of said bonds. Section 5. It is hereby determined the proposed maturity of the obligations authorized by this resolution shall be in excess of 5 years. Section 6. The faith and credit of said town are hereby irrevocably pledged for the payment of the principal and of the interest of such bonds as the same respectively become due and paid. An annual appropriation shall be made in each year sufficient to pay the principal of and the interest on such bonds becoming due and payable in such year. There shall annually be levied on all the taxable real property of said town the tax sufficient to pay the principal of and interest on such bonds as the same become due and payable. Section 7. Subject to the provisions of this resolution of the local finance law pursuant to the provisions of section 30.00 relative to the authorization of issuance of bond anticipation notes or the renewals of said notes and of section 21.00, section 50.00, sections 56.00 to 650.00, section 62.00, and section 63.00 of the local finance law. The powers and duties of the town board pertaining or incidental to the sale and issuance of the obligations herein authorized, including but not limited to authorizing bond anticipation notes and prescribing the terms, form, and content, and as to the sale and issuance of the bonds herein authorized, and of any bond anticipation notes issued in anticipation of said bonds, and the renewal of said notes, are hereby delegated to the town supervisor, the chief fiscal officer of the town. Section 8. The temporary use of available funds of the town, not immediately required for the purpose or purposes for which the same were borrowed, raised, or otherwise created, is hereby authorized pursuant to section 165.10 of the local finance law for the capital purposes described in section 1 of this resolution. The town then reasonably expects to reimburse such expenditure with the proceeds of the bond or bond anticipation notes authorized by section 2 of this resolution. This resolution shall constitute a declaration of the town's official intent to reimburse the expenditures authorized by section 1 hereof with the proceeds of the bonds and notes authorized herein as required by the United States Treasury Regulation section 1.150-2. Section 9. The town supervisor is further authorized to take such actions and execute such documents as may be necessary to ensure the continued status of the interest on the bonds authorized by this resolution and any notes issued in anticipation thereof as excludable from gross income for federal income tax purposes pursuant to section 103 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 as amended, the code, and to designate the bonds authorized by this resolution and any notes issued in anticipation thereof as qualified tax exempt bonds in accordance with section 265B3BI of the code. Section 10. The town supervisor is further authorized to enter into a continuing disclosure agreement with the initial purchaser of the bonds or notes authorized by this resolution, containing provisions which are satisfactory to such purchaser in compliance with the provisions of Rule 15C12-12, promulgated by the Securities and Exchange Commission pursuant to the Securities Exchange Act of 1934. Section 11. The town, by a resolution adopted on May 13, 2014, determined that the undertaking of the renovation/expansion capital project of the Mesco Hyundai Community Center is an unlisted action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, and in connection therewith, duly issued a negative declaration pursuant to seeker, and therefore no further action under seeker is required. Section 12. The validity of said serial bonds or of any bond anticipation notes issued in anticipation of the sale of said serial bonds may be contested only if 1. Such obligations are authorized for an object or a purpose for which said town is not authorized to expend money, or B. The provisions of the law which should be complied with at the date of publication of this resolution are not substantially complied with, and an action suit or proceeding contesting such validity is commenced within 20 days after the date of such publication, or 2. Said obligations are authorized in violation of the provisions of the Constitution of New York. Section Section 13. The town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish this resolution or a summary thereof, together with a notice in substantially the form provided by Section 81.00 of said local finance law in the official newspaper or newspapers of the town. Section 14. This resolution is subject to permissive referendum pursuant to Section 35.00 of the local finance law and Section 6-C of the general municipal law of the state of New York.
Second.
Discussion. So we have our architects here. Who would like to come and show the community what we're cooking. May I introduce Les Walker
Let's come up here so we can have
and Jesse Walker? Thank you for coming. You get a nice close-up on this model there. Now, what's the front, what's the back? Let me turn the front toward the camera.
Turn it that way?
Yeah.
This is a pleasure. We've been working on this building for 10 years. And that's no joke.
And that's as far as you got?
He's a perfectionist.
Yeah. We started with Gordon Webb 10 years ago and Bill, and it's been a new design, it seems, about every year. Changes after meeting with committees through Kathy, and all kinds of people coming in and discussing the work and their particular needs of their committee and their program. And I would have to say that you could make the case that this building is a building that was designed by the community. We've had over 100 people in our office discussing and trying to pull us one way or the other on different parts of the building. And it's not an architectural masterpiece. It's a building that really fits and works for the community, in my opinion. About 2 years ago, Jess joined me as a partner, and thank God, because the building is on a computer now. So we get I think we get changes daily from people.
I'm still getting phone calls.
Yeah, and so you know,
Okay, I don't mind.
the old-fashioned way didn't work, and so Jess has been working with a person we have in our office, and whenever a change is made, a change occurs in the drawings. These are the latest drawings. This model's a little bit out of date, but it'll do. The building is really simply, the building is a grouping of spaces down the spine of the building, and these spaces are multifunctional all along the way. The main space probably is the theater with a stage and some really nice lighting situations. And then as the building evolved, we just plug in different things to facilitate that space. So, for example, the theater needs some storage, or they need bathrooms. We're designing all new bathrooms, all new kitchen. The TV station's all new, and the summer program will have a space to work out of the rain, work and play out of the rain. There are 5 different entries. Each committee each program has its own, has its own space and its own entry. There can be 3 things happening in the building at the same time. But the best part is probably the theater. There's a box office type space, and there's coat closets in the beginning. And as you come in, the lighting is really worked out. Just did a lot of work in New York City in different theaters. And then the stage is just about perfect for a small town with curtains and so on. And then from the rear, materials, they can bring in materials through the rear, build in a set in this small multifunctional space, and then wheel them into the stage. And it's like what we need. It's what we need for theatrical productions. You have anything to say?
I got two things. Now the back of the existing stage is the front of this stage, so we're enlarging the main hall. And there's a deck on the back which can be used for step building, but it can also be used as a stage for outdoor performances, sort of rec field.
How close are these steps to the fence that's back?
Fence is right in here.
It's probably about 15 feet. We'd like to make that fence a breakaway fence so you can remove it for performances. It's very easy to do.
Another question.
These windows don't exist yet anymore.
Well, it's a
They
TV
didn't want
Yeah, right. We're contemplating solar for this building. And I've heard that the roof isn't substantial enough to take the load. And could you not, because those trusses, those three trusses are pretty heavy duty. And could
They don't
you-
have any foundations.
Could you not add purlin?
It would be cheaper, our engineer told us it would be cheaper to make an array in a field on a frame than it would to put them up here.
But we could easily add purlins if we wanted to.
We could add purlins and
We already need 2 bays to
Yeah.
handle the lighting truss, so it's only 2 more bays.
So if I could just, one second for the people at home, to give a rundown, correct me if I'm wrong. So when you get to the front of the building, there'll be a new addition there, which will be the coat room, box office type entry
a porch. right
and a
here.
porch. And so then you'd walk into the existing space, and that entire room that's there presently would become the new seating area.
Right.
And then the stage would begin.
All the way up, including the stage.
Including where the town board
Including-
sits,
right.
including that stage. So then the new stage
The
would
new
start
stage
at that
is
back
where,
wall.
is where the
Precisely.
existing mechanical room is, which we're tearing out.
Right, and so the kitchen would stay where it is, just be upgraded. The bathrooms, those
Same.
2 bathrooms would be the
And we're
same.
adding a new bathroom in the back. for
To-
kids.
To the left side is the television studio, and that's gonna become storage and mechanical rooms,
Precisely.
okay?
And then further back to the left is the. is the
Behind
new
that
television
would be
studio.
a new addition for the television, and behind the theater would be a new multi-use area with a bathroom and a couple of
Right.
small office spaces.
This room could be used for anyone, by anyone, but primarily it's designed for the kids in the summer program. There is a handicapped elevator to get a handicap from the main area up 21 inches to the stage level.
Where is the front, the most further forward part of the stage? Pardon?
It's the blue.
Ah,
The blue is the stage.
that's the proscenium.
Current back wall.
That's the current back
That's the
wall,
back
Jim.
wall. Well, then, this doorway, which goes from the main room into what is or would be the TV studio.
This is the TV.
This is the
Oh,
new TV
well,
studio.
in any event,
is
this
storage.
doorway here, would that obtrude on the forward section of the raised stage?
No, there's a corridor on either side of the stage with stairs going up to the stage in front of the curtain
Uh-huh.
for speakers.
I see.
And then going back on either side of those steps.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. So as we look at that, I heard Bill going down, but I look at your model though, it looks like the extension out the back is new, but the front, like it already has the steps going up. So it looks like the front part of the building, the outside is still going to be the
It's the
same.
same.
So
It's
everything
the same.
up front is the same, and the additions.
This is new.
That's gonna be new.
That's,
But I thought today you had kind of a coming in area. I thought you came
It's
indoors. and then
it's
you came
similar,
outdoors.
but that's gonna come off and it'll be.
Okay.
It's enlarged.
Right,
More functional.
okay. And then the other, 2 more questions I had. One is the wires, when you go in today, you look up and there's a wire that goes from this wall to that wall. When you're,
cables,
what's that?
cables.
The
yeah,
cables.
Yeah.
So when you're finished, or is this building gonna need cables?
Yes. We're not touching those, but you're not going to see them. We're lowering the ceiling in the first 2 bays, and so you won't see any cables in those first 2 bays. The second 2 bays, we're lowering the ceiling a little bit, and there'll be one cable that will be visible, and it'll be painted, we're gonna hope to paint it out, paint it white.
Yeah.
They're structural.
They're structural, they're tension
Yeah, they were
cables.
okay. And
The
then,
building wants to do this,
yeah.
and the cables are holding it together.
Okay, so as you do this, I know some buildings, well, for example, the new credit union down the street, if you look at it, the outside of the building looks similar but nicer, and inside, they gutted the entire thing. So are you inside gutting the entire
Yeah.
thing?
New floor, new walls,
Okay.
new windows, the outside's all new.
So the building that exists today, not the front that you took off and said that's new, not the back, extension at the back, but the rest of it, will it then look the same, or are you reinforcing that somehow, the walls to make it stronger, or?
There are gonna be new collar ties in here because there's gonna be a new floor in the first two bays, and we're hoping to straighten it up a little bit. It's a little bit out of kilter on the left side. But it's gonna look like a pretty new building with the same shape.
Right, okay, so it'll be,
The steeple's coming off.
there'll be a little.
At this point it is. If we start taking, if we
We're
take
gonna
it
see what's
apart,
inside
The
if
more
we take it
it
apart, and if there's something really neat inside of it, we'll keep it somehow.
Yeah, okay, but the idea right now is for that, for people to go, because I heard there were some, it can cause issues down the road, it's more maintainable, I think.
Right.
So it's basically will be pretty much better on the inside, it looks similar on the outside to keep the look. So the main look will be there, so we still have the feel of the building, but it'll be a lot nicer
Well,
and
this is all new,
tighter.
the entryway.
Right,
We should give credit to the Civic Design Committee for designing that. And the material, the exterior materials are gonna be different. The windows are all new, gonna be
Right.
different in different places.
And more light.
But the shape is the same.
What will the exterior be?
It's wood siding.
Did you bring those samples? No,
No.
I didn't bring the
It's a
samples.
novelty side, which is pretty
Beautiful.
common.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then parking's my last question. You mentioned you could have 3 events going on at a time, but the parking lot should be the same size.
That's always our problem, Woodstock's problem. We haven't solved that one.
We're counting on the municipal lot down by so if things get out of control. It's actually a nice walk. to this lot.
Laura, we had.
And
What
there's a
we
new
talk
side.
about multiple uses, what we're mostly talking
Yeah.
about is, for instance, the senior recreation program. Right now, if one of the programs is using the current community center, say, the Bridge Club, then no other program can use the building. But now you'll be able to have the Bridge Club here, and you can have the exercise class over here, and you can have a, so in that sense it becomes.
It's not like we're looking at packing it with 200 people,
Right.
but then you might have a group of 10, and, you know,
Right.
with this design, you would be able to have the senior rec in the front and have the summer rec in the back. Right now, they can't share the building, so I think
Yeah,
that's more.
we're not going to increase so much the quantity of the people in there by a large amount. We're just going to have the availability of having several groups in there at the same time. The wall that we're considering putting in, I'm still considering putting that in, because I think it's important, but the movable wall.
Partition.
But even without that, you have the back section, you have the stage section, you have the front section, so there's still 3 distinct areas that can be in with or without the movable wall.
Plus the stage.
Areas that can stay set up and be locked off, so the groups don't have to pack up every time somebody else needs to do something.
Yeah.
And you're not
Well,
running a
it
TV
sounds-
studio.
It does look fabulous, looks very,
TV
very, very
studios.
well thought through.
TV studio is a fourth.
Yeah, I
It's
must
not
say that this,
multifunctional, but it's another space.
yeah, this was, I think you said it wasn't an architectural masterpiece. I think it was a community masterpiece. I think the community, with all the input I got from every different group that uses this community center, I think was a masterpiece of how to make this building work for the town. And all the effort, just put in a ton of effort in terms of the staging and the height and the size and the curtains and every little detail of what makes a good stage and what makes a good performing area. That has gone into this plan, and also what makes a good TV studio. Thank you to Randy, Felicia, and for giving us many, many suggestions about what we needed in terms of the length and the width and visuals in terms of how you film and produce and what you needed. So all those things came into consideration from so many different groups. In fact, just this week I got a call from the people who do the holiday dinners, asking me about an oven, and we should be getting a request about that soon. But there are people who are still calling me, still asking for things, and it doesn't mean that because we're at this stage, we cannot consider some minor changes. We certainly will look into that. I mean, when we were almost done, the whole shelter group called, and they wanted to make sure that we had everything for a shelter. So I took the training and made sure that, the generator and the other things that are there make it a usable shelter in an emergency. So people are still calling. We're not, saying, oh, we have the plans, now we're done. We are still taking input, and it's going to be a community masterpiece for all the people who want to use this building, and will now have a clean, warm, safe, beautiful, air-conditioned, well-lit, energy-efficient building. And I'm really, it's taken years and years to get this going.
Kathy, I just want to be clear though, because this came up about 3 days before we were getting ready to break ground in the highway garage, when somebody produced an entirely different concept. I mean, we've spent a lot of time on this, and our plans are pretty set in stone.
Oh, yeah, they are, but there's little things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to be clear to the public that,
We're not redesigning the place, but
We-
there's
you know-
little things we can still work on. And we're pretty set. And also, I didn't mention the wall of the donation wall with the bio brick. Did you bring any of the panels? Well, anyways, you could probably explain it better than I, but there's going to be a whole wall, and Jay has offered to cut the wooden bricks out of something that we actually have hanging around town. These beautiful old doors from Mohawk Valley. So that's a,
My arm was twisted.
yes, I'm sure. But we are going to have a wall where you can actually put your own brick in on these sliding.
With your name on
Well, yes, there'll be, when you buy a brick, you put down what you want on the brick. We've sold about 80 bricks so far, which is about $8,000.
I just got 6 more today.
Oh, good. Yeah, people keep telling me I gotta buy. I know there are a lot of people out there who want to buy. Now's the time. But you'll be able to place your own brick on the wall, maybe not exactly where you want, but, to a certain extent you can put your brick in where you want, because there'll be these like sliding panels where you can slide your brick in. So that was your ingenious
If you're
idea.
bad, we slide you back out.
Right.
Another thing I just wanted to, because Lesser just mentioned before, that as you walk into the existing space, that ceiling's going to get lowered for the first 2 sections. And what that's going to be, there'll be a sound booth, a production booth for lighting and, for performances out above.
Oh, cool.
That they'll be able
Very cool.
to, yeah.
Very cool.
Plus it'll save a lot of heat expense.
Will that area above the roof floor, ceiling, will that be cooled, heated?
It'll have a separate heating and cooling system.
So
Only when people are
that'll be provided.
electrical.
And I had a couple
There's so much I can say. I mean, we've been working on this for, it seems like 2 years minimum, after the first 8 years. But I mean, we've been working on it for a long time, so no, I could go on with.
Will there be a sound break of some sort between the large room and the TV studio?
Yes.
Good.
In fact, I got someone to donate the sound system for the community center.
Mazel tov.
So that's similar to what we did at Town Hall. So yeah, there'll be quite a good sound system and paneling, whatever they do.
Acoustical baffling.
Yeah.
And this seems to indicate that one step up will be sufficient.
It's
to go
2
from-
steps plus a little satellite door.
Uh-huh.
It's
So
16 and a half inches.
so there won't be a rise in here.
There'll be a bluestone step and a step up into one porch, like right there, 2 items. And then the little satellite keep out step.
And just one last thing, at the present stonework on this side here, there's a stone that should be saved for the Historical Society. It says church, cathedral, whatever, St. Joan of Arc, 1922.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it's on the column at the bottom on this side, and that should be saved and protected.
Put that in our drawings and even specify that the contractor has to bring it up.
They can even leave it there. Or break it somewhere.
Why?
We're trying to get the price up.
The Historical Society.
Yeah, speaking of price,
Gotta have
when we
it.
first talked about this in December, it was $1 million, now it's $1.5 million. What changed and what evolved over the last?
Well,
Seven
what
months.
happened was, in December, we had absolutely no idea, we did not have a finished plan, and we also knew when we came to a moment like this, that was probably going to be, that figure was probably going to be superseded. So, I mean, that was just a total stab guess, you know. No one had any idea because these plans had not been finalized. They had not been sent out to a professional estimator yet. People, the wish list grew bigger, especially with the addition of the generator.
I would also add that considerable a chunk of change was in the estimate to combine all the electrical services out there.
Right,
You know,
which I think is a fat estimate, by the way.
Yeah, so do I, but that's in that total number. And I would say that was $30,000, $40,000 to bring those all online.
So were there any major surprises that developed over the last 7 months that you weren't aware of? Like, I mean, there's a plan to replace the foundation and the floor.
We also added to it that we didn't
So
know
major
a fire suppression.
surprises, we knew the foundation. It's a strange, there was one surprise,
More than one.
with the structure comes down and there's nothing holding it up. So
That was a
that was a major surprise, no foundation under it. So what we found was there are posts in the walls that are attached to those vents that have foundation under them. So when we get in there, we're going to try to put some concrete under where it should be. But it's strong enough. I don't know why they built it that way.
Well, it didn't need it back then, they were relying on faith.
They had a lot of faith.
But, you know, to shore everything up and make sure everything's strong and tight and do all the underwork, I mean, you know, that runs another, a lot. And then also, you know, the whole part with the stage and the lighting and the TV studio, I mean, everything costs money, and to give all the people who are using this building what they needed, I mean, it's still, for almost, 4,500 square foot building, it's not a lot of money.
And that's the only taxpayer left.
Is it 55 in total?
No, it's 40.
I thought it was 44,000, almost 5,000.
49,000, 4,900 square feet, plus 361 for 4 porches, plus 252 for this deck. The porches, this is kind of, both of us feel that the real work, political work that gets done in this town is done on the porch. Because after you have a meeting, you go out and you really talk about it seriously on the porch. And so each entry here has some sort of a porch where you can go out
Is that
and talk about
loading,
what's happening.
is that loading dock, pardon the phrase, is that
It's a deck.
cement, concrete?
No, this is a wood deck with
Uh-huh.
railings
On your posts?
on posts.
Yeah,
It's meant to be outdoor stuff for kids, and then it could be a concert air stage or a Volunteers Day, or whatever.
Does anything change the pavilion that's there right now next to the building?
Is anything what?
The pavilion next door, so the pavilion doesn't, those porches aren't extended in such a way that
No,
affects the
no.
pavilion,
No,
right?
the building is right here.
Pavilion
though.
stays.
It's right there. It's like a little jaunt, like 10 feet to the entry to the building.
But, you know, what Jess mentioned earlier too about looking into having a breakaway fence there, is one of the things, and I think Jess was the first to bring it up, is that would be a great outdoor venue now. You know,
Sure.
we do the music under the pavilion, but we could be doing it up with it raised up on the stage.
Plus the backstage is the backstage. It works out.
Yeah.
You remember last year, the Drum Boogie Festival built a whole stage in the back there. I mean, it's possible that what we put up may be helpful, they may not have to do that, or something smaller.
Thank you, Kathy, for shepherding me so well.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure. When I first started, when I retired and I first started taking classes there, I think it was the first day, I was like, oh, this building needs to be fixed. And so it's been kind of my dream for the last 8-9 years, and I finally got the opportunity to do something about it. So, and I really thank you both for working with me. It's been, I know it hasn't always been easy just bringing people in, but you've been great. And I think we came up with a good product.
And this is a big milestone. I mean, having this resolution on the table today is a huge
Oh,
milestone.
it's a very big
So it's a mark of success. So, of course, we didn't vote yet, I guess, but well done for everybody who worked to this point.
Thank you.
A lot of
So,
work.
spirit of those comments, yes, everybody's going to get a chance. I first want to, on behalf of those grateful employees of the town of Woodstock, I'd like to thank the taxpayer for the taxpayers funding the necessary improvements to the highway garage and to the Woodstock Town Hall. And these were for the purpose of providing a better municipal service. So, taxpayers, again, thank you for that on behalf of the grateful employees. This project is for the community. This is for you. This is for your enjoyment. And this will particularly be of benefit to the children in the summer. We will now have a cool and safe and ventilated place for their enjoyment. It will be a benefit to the seniors. We will now have a facility that will be cool in the summer and warm in the winter, not drafty, for their enjoyment. It's also going to be a facility for all the performing arts, not just stage music, dance, whatever belongs on the stage. This is going to be a great venue for our home, the Colony of the Arts. So this is really for you, for your enjoyment. So again, we couldn't have come to this point had you, the community, not supported the earlier and more vital, for the sake of the municipal services, the support for the highway garage and the town hall. Without your support for those endeavors, we never would have come to this day. So, on behalf of the grateful employees, for those, we thank you. And again, this is for you. Now, I'd like to talk about the money. So, this bonding resolution, although we've capped the cost of this project at $1,550,000, that doesn't mean the project will cost $1,550,000. You don't know what this project is going to cost until we put this thing out to bid and we open the bids. And let's just all hope that we're pleasantly surprised when it comes in at $1,495,000. But we won't know. It could go the other way too. It could come back and the bids are like 1.6. This has happened before with our projects. And we, work with the successful bidder, and we do things and make adjustments to get this thing down. I feel very good about this figure, this estimate we have. I think that there's areas of fact in it. And I think that this authorization to spend up to 1.55 is a good figure. Now, what we bond for is capped at $997,000. The reason why we can cap that is because we do have money in reserve. We do have a healthy fund balance that we can appropriate next year if necessary. When we open the bid sometime, hopefully this late summer, early fall, we will have a precise idea of how much fund balance we may have to appropriate for this. But the bonding itself will not exceed $997,000. Now, I didn't come up with a scenario with our bonding counsel advisor as to what that would cost. He did one for me for $1.1 million. So if it were $1.1 million, which it won't be because we don't have the authorization, we only have the authorization for $997,000. But at $1.1 million at 3.5% interest, which is a generous interest projection, because interest rates are now around 2.78. It would cost the town $136,000 for the first year. You may have noticed in the resolution the phrase, the useful purpose of this structure is 10 years. Okay, well, the reason for that is because the community center is a so-called Class C building. It is not like the highway garage, which was metal. It's not like the town hall, which was masonry, which are Class A buildings, and which can be bonded up to 20 years, and which were, in fact, bonded up to 20 years. This, the bonding cannot go beyond 10 years. So in the long run, we save interest, but in the short run, we compress the principal payments. So for 10 years, we'll be paying a principal payment of $100,000. For the first year, we'll be paying, if the interest rate is 3.5, around $35,000. So $135,000. Again, that's on a $1.1 billion note, so it's going to be a little less than that. Let's say it's 1.25. So gee whiz, what is this going to cost me, the taxpayer? You ask, what's it going to cost me? It's going to cost you somewhere between 7 to 9 cents per $1,000 assessed value per year. So if you have a house assessed at $300,000, it's going to cost you 20 some odd dollars a year to finance this project. That's what it is. That's what it is in nickels and dollars. You can take your assessed value and multiply it anywhere between 7 and 9 cents, and that's what it's going to cost you. So I just wanted to give the background to what the money is that we're talking about. Now, some people have asked, okay, gee whiz, if this all goes through, what about the tax cap? Are we still going to be, under the tax cap in our 2015 budget? Yes, we are. Certainly, we're going to be under our tax cap for the 2015 budget. I don't want to make huge rosy promises because it is further down the future, but I think we're also going to be okay the following year as well. So that's the money part of this. But I think the real important part of this is to, at least in my experience, I'm pretty sure just about everyone here, the community has all been in support of this endeavor. I've heard nothing but support in this endeavor, and I give you in your outreach, and you for really making this the focus of your campaign, you as well, and I think you got a pretty strong mandate from the public, and I'm glad that you made that the focus of your campaign. People had absolutely no, ambiguity as far as where you stood on moving this project forward. So that the spirit that was expressed last November, I hear expressed to this day. I haven't heard anybody complaining or not wish this project well. So, did you have a question? Yes, go ahead.
Okay, on that little area in the front that you said you're enlarging, yes. I don't know how much bigger it is, so my question is there's parking on that side? Is anyone going to have any trouble backing out, which is what they do, that they're not going to?
There's going to be a couple of cars that are here that are going to have to be, the parking spaces are going to have to be eliminated because it is getting closer to these spaces.
So, okay.
Right here.
So now
But we'll have to figure that out. We can maybe put them in parallel or move them one way or the other to the side. We can take care of that. We're waiting to get the building built, and then we're going to see what we have.
And then my other question is, after this is all done, it sounds like there'll be absolutely no vestige of, oh, that looks like that was a church at one time. There'll be like no appearance of what it once was.
We don't know what the steeple is. If the steeple's in good shape, we'll keep it.
No.
We just don't know.
Yes.
The
Yes.
bell tower, excuse me, the bell tower.
Yes.
Why do you want it to look like a church? It's a recreation
No,
building.
just historically, this is a building that's been there.
That's why I said you could leave the stone there. Always incorporate that stone so that something else.
Yeah, so, I mean, just because.
Okay, headline, Woodstock Times, Kingston Freeman, religious war breaks out in town.
This is the town that you told first. To answer my question, it really won't look like that at all.
No, it'll look like a community center.
We hope it looks like a community
It's a
center.
separation.
I mean, I can tell you,
church
when
and
I met with the CCD, and they make the recommendations. The committee was kind of a little split, but there was talk of, some people wanted to keep it, some people wanted a cupola up there. Instead, I've looked into cupolas, I've got photographs of different things we could put up there. If the steeple's not good, I mean, that is still one of our last. As I said, there are a few small decisions we have to make as we move along.
I see the banners already. Save the steeple.
Save the steeple.
That's
We can
Michael.
put it out for high bid.
I saw some really nice cupolas online, actually. So
I
it's
have a
other-
question for Mr. Walker. I heard Kathy Magarelli, the town board member tonight, say 2 years, and I heard Mr. Les Walker say 10 years. Now, my interpretation, and correct me if I'm wrong, that this model of a new building and the plans by your architectural firm has been in the works for over close to 10 years. Is that correct, Mr. Walker?
Correct.
And I just want to comment very quickly. Mr. Wilbur and the town board, I want to give you kudos for bringing this to fruition. Seeing the model on the town board table tonight, the year 2014, is very refreshing because I'm a journalist who covered the original master comprehensive plan meetings back in '98 in the community center where they talked about this. And I think it's very good that the town board is actually moving on it.
Yes, sir.
I think by and large, the community is very pleased with the way this is working out. And thank you, all the Walkers, for working all this time and being very generous with your time. It's been wonderful. And then accommodating Kathy and the rest of the community, trying to figure it all out and keep it frugal and reasonable. Well, I just have a question about, I'm one of those people in the community who is hoping for some sort of solar on the roof, and I appreciate that it's not structurally ready at this point to do that, but the addition should have a roof that would be structurally sound for solar.
True, that could.
So that part doesn't have the same vulnerability.
That's just this right here.
Right.
The lighting of us.
So when you have those further conversations, you just, and I think there's enough sentiment in the community to go in that direction. But I applaud you for what you've done so far, and I look forward to the improvements that we all would like to see, but we're trying to be frugal about it. So I want to thank you. Thank you so much.
And Sam, just to get back to the solar for a minute, I haven't given up on the idea of some carport-like type structure out in the parking lot.
Oh, okay, doesn't have a
Stan and I talked about that years ago down at the highway garage. It was one of the options we had looked at. And ultimately, we were able to get it up on the roof there. But we talked about doing a carport down the one row of parking. We could do something similar there.
Yeah, well, I think following up on Sammy, I think, the community will look at that and say, why isn't solar on it? And I think we need a good explanation why, the fact the roof won't hold it, we have to put in pilings to hold up the solar panels. I think that'll go a long way to explain why we don't have solar.
And again, I think that we continue to look.
Right, you just go down the road a few, 200 yards, and this building is just covered with solar panels.
Right.
And people ask, well, why did the town do that? And we
I
need a good
appreciate-
explanation.
Yeah, I agree.
I appreciate your interest in bringing up Stan Law here. And the idea, I mean, if you go to many places around the world, they have dramatic use of their parking lots with these solar panels that use that wonderful solar opportunity.
And I've seen a couple.
I know one of the issues is if you put those things in, you kind of give up parking spaces. But I've seen some of them that are like, they could be right up against the line of the pool, and lean out over the parking lot and not take away any parking.
I wouldn't envision that we would lose any parking spaces.
Cool. I have another question. Where is the access for the people that are going to be working up above the,
Here, there's a collapsible ladder. It almost looks like a drain pipe, and the ladder pops out, and you can put it on top or the bottom. So they climb up the ladder. It's common in theaters.
yeah, so, and it'll be
But when
safe.
they're up there, they can close the ladder,
Yeah,
so kids can't get up there.
right, and it'll be safe egress in the event of a
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, I'll call the question.
Well, can we talk about the money?
Yes, absolutely, of course.
Looks like we're cutting a little close. I mean, the estimate came in at 1.54, was it? And we're bonding, and we've got a budget of 1.55, and there's no slack in that.
Well, we have alternatives. First of all, I think this is a fat estimate, number one. Number two, when we open the bids, and if they come in at $1,555,000, and we accept that, then we would amend this resolution. So there's that. Now, if the bids come in at $2,500,000, then we say, oh boy, we make a big, huge mistake, and everything starts all over again. I find that the least likely. You may recall we did this with the town hall. We amended our bonding resolution for the town hall to give it a higher total project cost. So I don't expect that to happen in this case. Again, there are things in this budget that I think are fat. For instance, some of the excavating work, we can use our force account rather than having to pay contractors for their own wages for some of this work. And I just feel that there are some features in here where the estimator, and I'm glad he went fat. Listen, I'd much rather, the bids come in lower rather than higher. But I feel pretty comfortable with this.
And Jess, Les, and I have spent a lot of time over the last week or so looking at the numbers as they came in, and I'm in agreement with Jeremy.
Probably these are
The estimator stated that this doesn't represent a little bit.
yeah, okay, well, what I'm saying, there's just no slack. I mean, for instance, $100,000 that we spent at the beginning of the year, I mean, that's not for the building, that's really for the architects and the engineers.
And it's part of the total project, yes.
Well, it's not part of the estimate though, right? The architect engineering fee would not be in the,
Those are hard costs, not
and
soft costs.
this is the hard cost. With the town hall, we had a raft of, not a raft, but we had a few engineering changes. And I think any construction project will probably run into things which are change orders that might increase the cost. I think one of the unexpected costs we have to town hall is the bonding cost. I mean, when you bond for $997,000, you don't get $997,000. They take an origination fee out of it. You have the cost for, we spent $10,000 for Moody's, we spent $15,000 Monissac, another $5,000 for Hutchins or whatever it was, another bond lawyer. There's the interest payments for the band. And those were kind of costs we didn't really have nailed down at the beginning. And we kind of were struggling to pick those things up. So I feel, I don't really see that. Maybe you guys see the slack in the engineering systems, but
I see a little slack. The other thing is, and I said this when we went out with the highway garage and the town hall, I would rather go tight right now and put the five of us under the gun a little bit than to ask the public for a slush money. And that way, as Jeremy pointed out, we had to amend the bonding resolution for the town hall. In 6 months, if we come back and the project's $100,000 more, at least I believe that I'll feel comfortable coming back and saying, look, we've tried everything, we've looked at all the cuts, and I'm satisfied that this additional money is well spent.
well, at the town hall, the project was so that, by the end of the year, you knew we were running out of money.
Right.
So we could allocate that from the surplus, from the general fund surplus,
Right.
and carry it with about $220,000. But on this project, if we run out of money, it'll be like in springtime. We won't have that flexibility of pulling stuff out of the general fund like we did before.
Also, Ken, we have a couple of big ticket items, like the curtains and the walls and just different things. The cupola, that's a small ticket, but I have someone working with me on getting donations from people who will donate a particular item to the community center. I wanted to wait until we were pretty much at this point so that it is happening. We passed the resolution. I didn't think it would make sense to start asking people for money until I was pretty sure that we were moving forward.
It just looks really tight.
It is tight, but I'm confident. I mean, the estimator we had was really highly professional, and I think whatever he gave us is pretty accurate.
Well, that's the problem right now.
More
accurate, but high.
but high, you
Yeah.
know.
I agree with Bill, I'd much rather keep it tight. And
I mean, we all want to keep it tight, but you know, stuff happens, right?
Right, but it'll make us sweat a little bit, it'll make us be
Yeah.
This
creative.
will make the contractors sweat a little bit too when they're putting their bids together.
they can always sell the building.
No, I mean,
I don't think so.
yeah, I'd probably feel more comfortable if we were going a little bit more and had some slack in it. The external work, I mean, last time we had to pull the money out of the, what was it, the watershed fund to do the outside painting and whatever, is that going to be the same deal this time? Because I didn't see any external work.
We're putting the siding on it.
Yeah,
I mean, for painting or
that's all.
parking lot.
It's all in there.
It's all in there?
Not landscape.
Not landscaping,
Landscaping
no
was not
parking,
included
no.
in this
Okay.
project. That's something we're gonna look at after the building is completed, we'll look at the landscaping.
And one last question, this transfer from the community center TNA account, is that your bricks or was that
Yes.
the Nesco one that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
the
more-
libraries and some donations we got.
Okay, so it's a
It's a
combination.
combination of them.
I'm happy.
Oh, thank you.
And I agree with you, I mean, it is tight,
It is tight. Yeah.
but,
And with the town hall, we had to slack it, you know, we found the problem at the end of the year, so we had to, a way to deal with it. But this problem, if we've had a problem with this, it's gonna be in the springtime.
Spring is a good time to have a problem.
Not a money problem.
Do you want to poll the board, Jackie?
I will poll the board. Jeremy Willer,
Aye.
Kathy Magarelli,
Aye.
Bill McKenna,
aye.
Jay Wank,
I want to explain my vote, and I'm being serious. I'd like you to take note that my aye vote is predicated on the absence of a cupola, a stunted steeple, or whatever. I'm being serious, very serious. The idea that if there was a significant idea that the steeple or cupola, whatever, would be retained, I would vote no. But I'm voting aye with that stipulated.
It's demolished in the budget.
So stipulated.
It's not.
Ken Panza,
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Thanks, Kathy. Yes.
This says that you're in the town hall.
No, we abandoned
You
it.
changed that.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Jess, Les, thank you guys very much.
Thank
Thank
you
you for
very
getting
much.
us this far.
yeah.
So I got to do a little like that, after some sort of computer work.
My office is half computerized now.
Thanks, Lester. Thanks,
Thank you very
Jessica.
much.
Well, when I was in school, I was.
Just have a quick question. About an hour ago, I tried to tune in on Ustream to this, and I got nothing. Have I missed something? Are we no longer doing that?
We are having technical difficulties, which we hope to have addressed within the next week or so.
Okay, and the corollary question is, it seems to be taking longer to put the copies of the board meetings onto the Ustream on the right, you know, where you can go look at old ones. For some reason, there's a lag time that seems to be getting bigger and bigger. Is that the same problem?
No, we'll get there. No, we'll get that in that. Thank you, Manila. Okay, we're moving to the other part of our business. So Jackie, you got an email about all the notices?
Yes, I was gonna ask you, tomorrow, I got the email from Pam Weiss.
Yes.
We'll look it over together, to make sure that we're putting that in paper properly, because we certainly don't want any issues there.
Right.
And, I know there's some amended stuff that I don't have here, so we can make sure, like the town hall word or whatever.
Yeah, I amended those
Right,
forms.
so I'll get all that from you, so that when I send it to the paper tomorrow, you want it in for Thursday?
If we can get it in for Thursday, it'd be great.
Okay, so then are you gonna be in the morning?
This should show me.
Let's see.
I can't call them. I'll email before I
I'll go to
leave
my
here.
office, because I already amended it in the,
Yeah, but I know she's got different things that she wants sent with it. So,
well, you know, we don't have to get it on this Thursday.
no, but let me email Brian and tell him I'm gonna have a lengthy legal notice.
Okay.
Please leave space and we'll get it to him by tomorrow afternoon.
Okay,
You know, if
that's
there's a
good.
problem,
Plenty of
how's
Yeah,
that?
tell them it's a bonding resolution.
Bonding resolution, yeah, okay.
Great.
Yeah. Pretty much is great,
Okay, everybody, would you please take your conversation outdoors? This is why we need more porches. Okay, be it resolved to accept minutes for the meeting of June 17, also known as Watergate Day, 2014.
I have a change to that. Under the resolution 1492014, the 600 kilowatt EV system, I abstain on that.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah.
I will make that change.
And it was not, it was corrected on the copy that you sent to someone.
Very
Well,
well.
I wrote.
You hand wrote.
Okay.
Yeah, I wrote it in. It made it a little confusing there because we modified the resolution
Right.
afterwards. We
Right.
added in the landfill, and that I did agree with, but the whole resolution itself.
Okay, so with that amended, all in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved to accept the town clerk's report. In favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved to authorize transfers for the transfer sheet.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Jeff, that is fine. I think it is fine.
The vouchers,
Yeah, I was like that before.
so
Be it
that
resolved,
means we can still approve the resolution.
Oh, okay, all right.
be it resolved to authorize payment of letters vouchers in the amount of $95,746.45. In favor?
Aye.
Whereas on June 17, 2014, the town board authorized the water sewer superintendent to go out to bid for the used 3.5-ton mini excavator. Whereas one bid was received from Bay Montana Company, Inc. for $29,100. Whereas the highway superintendent, the water sewer superintendent have inspected the equipment and find the equipment sound and the price to be reasonable. Therefore, be it resolved to authorize the water sewer superintendent to purchase such equipment. Be it further resolved to charge the water and Hamlet sewer districts each $13,455, and the on-site district remaining $2,990. In favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved upon receipt of a completed family medical leave act form to approve an unpaid leave of absence for Officer Shirley Janinian Bascone, effective July 18, 2014.
Second.
Shirley, congratulations. I really hope that it all goes very well. We look forward to seeing what I know is going to be a beautiful day. All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved to appoint Joseph Scott, 90-day temporary full-time police officer, effective July 18, 2014. All in favor?
Aye.
Whereas the Woodstock Town Board wishes to participate in the Green Jobs Green New York program to extend the benefits of energy efficiency to residents, small businesses, not-for-profits, municipalities, and multi-family building owners throughout the township. And whereas Green Jobs Green New York representatives wish to make a presentation to the public in the Woodstock Community Center on July 15th, therefore be it resolved to waive fees for such presentation. In favor?
Aye.
Whereas the first Woodstock Comedy Festival not only brought enjoyment to the community, but also donated its net profit to families' domestic violence program and to the Polaris Project, which supports victims of human trafficking. Therefore, be it resolved to waive fees for use of the town hall on September 19 through 21 by the Woodstock Comedy Festival for use as a hospitality center for the second annual Woodstock Comedy Festival. In favor?
Aye.
And just a nice plug for that. They did a great show last year. They donate their proceeds to very worthy causes. And I really congratulate all of them on it was wonderful. I hope very well attended this year.
Great shows.
Be it resolved to amend Resolution 147-2014 regarding hires and rates of pay for summer recreation program employees, to add an amendment as follows. Jack Cuneo, $9.50, rate adjustment. Kelly Ambrose, $10.50, rate adjustment. Ryan Boyle, $8, additional high rate. Laura Voss, $8, additional high rate. And Jessica Voss, $8, additional high rate. In favor? Aye. Be resolved to enroll willing ZBA and planning board members in the July 29 zoning and planning training sponsored by the Association of Towns at a cost of $80 per attendee and taking place in Kingston, New York, and be further resolved to reimburse mileage for those who attend. In favor? Aye. Be resolved to accept a bid from Kingston Equipment Rental in the amount of $255,900 for the replacements. No, I know, this is, I gave you all new page 9.
Oh,
Be it resolved to accept a bid from the Kingston Equipment Rental in the amount of $255,900 for the replacement of the Chestnut Hill Bridge, project number TW14-01. That's the project where we got it. All in favor?
Aye.
That
Question,
is our business, yes.
is it a true replacement, are they widening it all?
No,
No,
no.
I didn't.
You know, what they are gonna do when you're coming from 212 and you cross the bridge, on the other side, I think they're gonna widen that side a little bit at an angle, so that you don't have to make quite a sharp turn.
Straight to the side of your car.
After you cross the bridge? It's
Yeah.
a barn.
But there's a little room, the owner has allowed, I think it was a tree he allowed to cut down, and he's allowing us to just swing it over there a little bit. It's not a lot, but it should help the situation.
And so I saw a lot of the trees already down.
Yeah,
So how come you took those over? Was that to keep equipment over there, or, I mean, because you see.
There's
like-
several reasons. There's reasons of staging, and there's also, I want to say there's a telephone pole that's going to be removed, moved. But again, Michael reached out to all the neighbors and got all their permission for this work. There's
Well,
no,
I know, one's a friend of mine, so.
right. So, I mean, nobody was strong armed, there was no eminent domain. This is all negotiated between the highway superintendent and the property owners. And we thank them for their collaboration, of course. Any other business?
Do you have like a kind of a planned time when you would start?
It's going to start very soon, and we hope it'll be done, by early fall. I mean, that's not a commitment, but, we're hoping
So
it's
like
go
a
pretty quickly.
3-month plan, or?
Yeah, probably somewhere along there. Yeah, you have to be very delicate looking on the screen. What you see is constantly looking over your shoulder, making sure that you're not killing the trout. So you have to be careful. With that, I'll move to adjourn. In favor?
Aye.